On today's episode, we talk about all things self-defense and concealed carry. We have guest Beth Alcazar, who is an expert beyond expert. This lady knows what she's talking about. And we're not just going to cover how to shoot a gun, but why you may not even need it. You're not going to want to miss it.
Welcome to the Ascend Podcast, a podcast by and for women in the outdoors. Every episode delivers real stories, practical how-tos, and a welcoming community to help you start, sharpen, or rediscover your passion for the outdoors. Authentic women, real stories, outdoor adventures, Ascend. Presented by Ducks Unlimited, the leader in wetlands conservation. Your next adventure starts here, the Ascend Podcast.
Welcome to the Ascend Podcast by Ducks Unlimited. I'm Adrian, and today we're going to dig into a topic that seems to be increasingly important to us ladies, and that is going to be self-defense and concealed carry. Today, I'm joined by Beth Alazar, who is more than an expert on this topic. I'm just going to read you some of her credentials because there are many. So she is a U.S. Concealed Carry Association senior trainer, counselor, and instructor, an NRA training counselor, instructor, and chief RSO, Sig Sauer Academy certified pistol instructor, DRAW school certified handgun instructor, Alice Training Institute certified instructor, FSI certified force science analyst, a Stop the Bleed certified instructor, HSI certified instructor, QPR suicide prevention gatekeeper, and she is currently the editor-at-large of Concealed Carry magazine. So I feel very confident, Beth, that you are going to be able to answer any of our questions today. So today we are going to talk about concealed carry, handguns. Is it the right answer for you? Beth, thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Adrian. I'm honored to be able to talk with you again and to join in on this very important conversation.
Yes. So I've known Beth for a couple years. I followed you on Instagram, a few conversations here and there, mainly if I have questions about things. But last year, it was great. I actually we got to put real life faces to names and handles at the Goals Conference, so the Gun Owners of America Leadership Summit in Knoxville. And that's open to the public. By the way, you don't have to be in this industry to go to it, but it was great. I really appreciated your time and just being digging in more to why this matters and not just, hey, let's get guns, but like what's the whole big picture around it all. So when I knew I wanted to do an episode about this, I was like, absolutely, I got to get Beth. I knew that you'd be the lady for the job. So before we just dig in, just tell everybody, Beth, who you are and how you got interested in all this.
Well, thank you again, Adrian. As you mentioned, my title is editor-at-large for USCCA, but that doesn't necessarily cover much of what I do or who I am or how I got here. So I guess, to fill in the gaps a little bit, clearly my passion really lies in helping people just become more safe and confident and responsible with firearms and personal safety and, of course, protecting their families. And my journey into this industry wasn't really, because of competition or any kind of, collection of firearms. It was really just about protection and empowerment. I mean, specifically, I personally am just kind of, as you could see by all the letters you kept reading off, I'm kind of a sucker for learning and training and education. I guess I'm just the consummate student, I suppose. And for me, this journey was really about education. It was about protection for myself. And I just wanted to know everything I could know about it. I really wanted to know so that I could be, informed and articulate and safe and responsible in my own right. But then as I kind of dug deeper and deeper, I realized, it's probably selfish not to share that information with other people. So I got very interested in how do I share this with my friends or my family or my community or just those in my own personal circle. And that kind of grew out of just that small area. And I thought, if I have had these struggles in the industry, or if I have felt maybe uncomfortable about where to start or how to get going, maybe other people are kind of going along through that same typical kind of journey. So I think that's what drew me deeper into this world. It's not just about teaching someone to handle a gun or shoot. It's about mindset, and it's about skills and habits that help us just become safer and wiser parents and citizens across the board. So oddly enough, that's what I get to do now. So it's really exciting that all of this kind of personal seeking knowledge has become my professional job. So I get to focus on developing resources and programs that help everyday people, not just gun enthusiasts or professionals, really have the confidence to handle firearms, to think safely, and to be responsible so that they have ownership of their own choices with personal safety, whether or not they even choose to have firearms.
Right, right. And I think I'm not wrong. You are also in process of getting a doctorate.
Yes, you can add a couple more letters, I guess, to the mix. My background is actually in education, so I like to joke around that about 10 years ago, I basically left the traditional classroom for the shooting range, and I haven't looked back since. So in that experience, it's been really incredible to take, the different theories and techniques from the academic world and from education and kind of transpose those into firearms and firearms training. And so now I'm trying to find a balance. There's no balance ever in life, but I'm trying to, no such thing, but I'm trying to sort of balance out the firearms training side of things and that academic world and not leave either behind. So I am ABD, all but the dissertation. And yes, and very soon maybe people could call me, I joke around, Dr. BA, because those are my initials. So we'll just leave it there.
That's right. Well, that's great. And it's very interesting because, as you know, people come into this space from all sorts of arenas. You have the competition shooters or the hunters or the whatever. And so it's neat to see, again, I think you're a good example that you don't have to have a certain outlook or a certain background to want to protect yourself, to want to be safer.
I'm just a mom with a gun, right? That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why it is important for all of us. It's, like you said, whether you choose the handgun route or not, being safe is number one. So how can you be more aware? And we'll talk about that. We'll circle back around to those kind of adjunct thoughts. But so let's say ladies listening, they want to get a handgun. So what is what's the most critical thing they should think of first when they're thinking about getting a handgun?
Well, and you're already saying the word thinking. It's critical that anyone that wants to go into that world or choose a firearm for home protection or even on-body carry out and about in everyday life, they have to ask a lot of really important questions. They need to address the why. And I think that's what's going to help kind of peel back those layers and really explore what options might be open for that individual. So, maybe someone has been exposed to firearms before through hunting or even through competitive shooting. And, that's a really fun and exciting way to be introduced to that world. But it's also a very different mindset if you decide, I want to have a gun to keep myself safe, to keep my family safe. So that starts to kind of narrow down a lot of decisions on types of firearms, handguns that would be useful in those scenarios. And of course, asking questions like, where's this gun going to live? As far as in the home, is it going to be a gun that is going to be safely staged, where it is easily accessible to those authorized users in case of an emergency or in case of that need for protection? Or is it going to be something that's put away in a safe where it's a little more difficult to get to? And of course, that carry idea as well. If someone wants to buy a firearm and they want that handgun to go with them in their daily lives, that's also going to really start to narrow down the type of gun, the size of the gun, maybe magazines and how much ammo they carry. There's so many different things that just the thinking process needs to really be in depth first. And I think once you've answered those questions, if it is, I want to have a gun and I'm going to carry it with me and I want it to maybe do double duty, go with me and also stay at home for my home protection gun. Well, then you got to go out. You got to test it. Do the research. You can look online. It can be helpful. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of, podcasts like this one. There's a lot of resources from USCCA. But I think really going out and asking people that you trust, working with the gun itself at the range, testing it out, it's, a lot of us ladies in the industry like to liken it to buying a new pair of jeans or, a pair of shoes. I have a certain size or a certain style of jeans that I like, but I wouldn't send somebody else to go buy them. And I certainly wouldn't just buy them without trying them, especially if it's, something that's slightly new or slightly different. You got to go and put it on and give it a shot and see if you like it. Does it look good? Does it feel good? Does it fit well? And some of those things actually do carry over to the gun. Does it fit? Do I understand how it works? Do I like how it works? So
you don't just go to your local gun store and buy the pink one?
Right, exactly. Adrian, I'm so glad you brought that up. There's like that pink it and shrink it mindset that unfortunately kind of flowed through the industry for a while. And luckily, I think we've moved way beyond that. Here we are in 2025, and there are so many really good choices. And they could be pink. That's fine. I've got pink on right now. I have nothing against pink. But that shouldn't be the number one reason why you choose, especially a gun for safety. If you want to choose something for competition or for collecting or something other than self-defense, then maybe you would pick it because it looks cool.
Exactly. And I know we have tested out a number of handguns, and I know there are at least 2 or 3 companies who've released female-specific ones.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, there's a couple I've handled that I don't think fit well because they're too small, even though I have tiny hands. So, again, like you said,
you have to give them credit because here we've got these companies that are like, women are still like the top number of growing segments in the industry, whether you're talking about training, whether you're talking about buying guns, whether you're talking about, becoming instructors, they're still like, that's a huge growing segment is females. So at least they've paid attention and they've done their research. But I mean, we're so different, and it's hand size, it's strength, it's, the meat that you have right here. It's also the breadth, there's so many things, and I don't have a lot of strength in my grip or in my fingers, so that might help make a decision on the trigger. Is this one too difficult? Or if the gun is too small, am I just getting way too much of my hand wrapped around there that I'm uncomfortable? So kudos to the companies paying attention, but that doesn't solve the issue. And you've proven it. You've proven it.
Yeah. And so let me just recap real quick. So number one, before you go even think about putting your money on a handgun, figure out why you want it.
Yes.
What you want it to do, and then how you plan on using it.
Yes,
then
100%.
Figure out, okay, this is why I want to do it. What are the guns? What are the calibers? What are the options that fit what I want this for? And then, around here where I am, many of the ranges have rental options. So head out to your local gun range, and before you buy one, try to shoot it. If you can handle it, minimum, but try to shoot it if at all possible.
Yes. And, there are a lot of really great women's organizations out there. And again, resources that are specific to women that will kind of give you at least a starting point. And maybe that's helpful. There's nothing wrong with looking at some of the more popular models that are designed for women or that are being purchased by women that women are just, giving good reviews to. But ultimately, Adrian, you and I probably carry very different guns, and that's totally cool. And if anybody were to ask us, what do you carry? I mean, I can tell you. But that doesn't mean that's going to be what you like. You might want a firearm that has a manual safety. You might really, in your mind, just feel like that is the best option for you, for your situation, for your lifestyle, for your family. Where I personally don't choose to have a thumb safety or a manual safety on my handgun. I don't want to have that extra step. That's something that I've decided for myself and I've trained very specifically to do. And, there's guns that I like that other people find don't work for them at all. And that's okay. And I think it's important that we realize that. And again, you decide what's right for you. Why do you want the gun? Where are you going to store the gun? Where are you going to put it on your body if you decide to carry it? How are you intending to use that firearm? And then, of course, test it out until you are tired of it, basically. Go that first day with like a notebook and a paper and write down what you like or what you didn't like or what was confusing. And then maybe do a little bit more research. Narrow it down. If you can start with maybe 4 or 5 and try those out, maybe you can kind of cancel out a couple right out of the gate and then really focus on that 1 or 2. And it's okay. Again, those women's organizations, they would love for you to try their guns. They're happy to share what they've chosen and why. Listen, try those out, and just really soak up as much info as you can. You don't want to make a mistake, buying the wrong gun, but it's okay if you end up, on your journey, maybe that first gun isn't the one you end up with. That is also totally fine.
Right. Absolutely. Now, so in regards to testing them out, let's say we've got the lady that wants to get a gun and she's never shot one before. What would you say is the easiest way to find a good trainer?
Oh, boy. That is a very important question. And I think one of the most significant things to look for when you look for a trainer is, you got to understand their certifications. You want to make sure that they do their due diligence and they are training and they are learning. But I would try to see if they have web pages or social media that shows what are they currently doing. Are they bettering themselves by going to classes? Are they teaching regularly? Is there an opportunity to watch a video or see any testimonials or any reviews that can give you insight into that trainer? I know that when I shop online, I love reviews. Now, sometimes I just laugh at them and I'm like, well, that's just silliness. I'm still going to buy it anyway. But it is helpful to look and see if this person has those 5 stars or if this person, got a bad review. There's nothing wrong with reaching out, whether you email that person, message that person, call that person, talk to them, ask some questions, see how they respond to you. You want someone not only certified and qualified, but you want someone you're going to feel comfortable and confident with. It's so difficult to learn if you feel unwelcome or belittled or made to feel kind of stupid. I've been to those classes, where it's like, maybe I was the only female. Maybe you want a female trainer and you want to go to a women's class. Maybe that would make you feel better about asking some of those tough questions or just feeling so brand new and intimidated. That's okay. Or maybe you go with a friend. I know that we as women, we like to collaborate. We like to build communities wherever we go. This is sometimes why I think we all want to go to the bathroom together, and you see. So, as you're looking for that trainer, you can ask other people, where have you gone? What have you done? Or bring a friend along. Try it out together. That way it's an experience and a journey and you don't feel alone and you can kind of, tag team it a little bit and decide whether or not that's a good place to start. With that, you might find some of those shorter classes, maybe really introductory classes, beginner level classes, maybe some that are only 90 minutes long, 3 hours long, where you're not sacrificing your entire day. And then make sure you have in your mindset, even starting out, that it's not going to be one and done. When you take a class, think about what's next. Always ask that question. And I encourage, even in my classes and in my curriculum, that question is literally in the book, what's next? Because that's what you always need to be considering. So I know that's a really long, drawn-out way to answer your question. It's going to be a personal journey and different for everybody, but at least those are some basics as far as, are they qualified to do this? And am I going to feel comfortable in their class learning with them and from them?
Right. And that's great. I like the idea of calling ahead.
Yeah.
And just a short conversation. You should know, this isn't going to work, or okay,
exactly.
I would definitely give this a try. That's a great idea. So the next thing that leads me to is it's kind of a 2-part question that we've mentioned. So let's say someone's doing this because they want to carry it. They want to carry on themselves. So I guess the couple of questions are, how much training do you recommend, and or when can someone know, okay, I'm ready to actually have this on me? What are those key things that they need to look for?
Again, this is going to be someone's personal journey, and it's hard to say this is what you should do line by line. But as far as just some overall suggestions, the first thing you need to consider is that it's a daily commitment and a daily decision, especially if you are choosing a firearm for self-defense or defense of others. It's a huge responsibility. It's an awesome responsibility. But that's something I wake up every day with. Like, today, I am going to be safe. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to make wise decisions. I'm going to do things in a way that I'm not putting myself out there as a potential victim or doing something where I'm distracted or just out of touch with reality. So I think that's the important first step, is that you need to make the daily decision to at least think about it, consider it. Tell yourself, what you're going to do right, what you're going to avoid, that you're going to have good situational awareness, you're going to pay attention. And along with that mindset training, as far as putting the gun in hand and doing something with it, it's just like any kind of perishable skill. It's like if you want to learn how to play piano, it's if you want to be a good tennis player, how often would you practice either one of those skills to be good at it? So in my mind, the answer to that question, it's going to be a little bit cerebral here, but practice not until you get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. So it almost becomes like that. Well, not almost. It becomes second nature or more automated. So when you first start out learning how to shoot and you've got that handgun in your hand for the first time, there's so many different thoughts and processes going on, right? It's like, oh, what did the instructor say about standing? What did they say about the grip? What did they say about my finger? You're trying to process so many different things. And it can be it feels maybe a little overwhelming, like, oh, this is a lot. Well, it really isn't. The more that you get used to those basic steps and those foundations of shooting, those things will become more automated. You don't have to process information and really think about that. You can start thinking about the other stuff. That's how you know that you're getting enough good practice in, where you don't have to just sit there and go, what are the steps to retrieve my gun safely from the holster and get on target? When you've already done it and now you're processing shooting that target, or you're processing anything about transitioning to another target or follow up and getting really good feedback. So with that, if you can get out to the shooting range, by all means, do it. Go find a trainer or a buddy or a program, even something that like an app that you can kind of use to kind of go through drills of the month, drills of the week. Sure, go and shoot. But also, don't forget the value of that mindset training and even going through the steps and the motions as a dry fire exercise. I know people, especially competitive shooters, just sing the praises of dry fire practice. And there's many levels to that. You can practice what it's like to reload quickly. You can practice what it's like to get that gun out of the holster. You can use things like trainers. There's laser trainers. There's guns that, like a SIRT pistol, that offer you similar kind of feeling and ability to see where that shot placement would be. And if you jerk the trigger, there's even online virtual reality kinds of experiences that sometimes the brain really doesn't know the difference between that mindset practice and the reality practice. So put those all to good use whenever you have a chance.
That makes sense. And I'm just thinking about, like you're saying, the laser dry fire trainers, the VR headsets that have the trainers now, even the one company makes paintball guns that are like a Glock or a SIG.
Oh, yeah.
They're exactly the same. It's just paintballs. So you could shoot those in your backyard. So yeah, that's, and like you say, the transitions, nothing, in motor learning, there's a 4-stage process where you go from, I think it's called conscious incompetence, where you think a lot and you're not any good at it until you get to unconscious competence. This is what you're talking about, where you don't have to think and you're just good.
Some people call it muscle memory, which we know muscles don't have memory. But yeah, that's how true learning, that's how that process takes place. And when it's a skill that's a physical skill, the best thing you can do is to have frequent realistic training, or at least when you go, go to the range and have fun sometimes, obviously. Just shoot the reactive target or
Right,
the
right.
steel. Go have fun. But if you're going and you're thinking that, oh, this is going to benefit me for personal protection, well, do something that is really going to give you those results. Don't just shoot up a paper target and look at it and go close enough,
Mhm.
it would work in real life. I mean, really think through how you can better yourself, how you can improve whatever skill it is that you're really focused on that day or
Yeah.
that particular drill. But yeah, the more that you can kind of do it and do it well and do it right, you're going to lock that in, and it's going to be much easier to process the other information that might
Yeah.
be happening to you in a real life situation
Right.
or otherwise.
Now, on that same kind of token, what I know, and again, I know this is gonna be a personal choice, but what are your, I guess, top 2 or 3 methods of carrying?
For me, I started carrying, and everyone's going to go, oh, that's so bad. But I did start off body. That was my first carry method. I was very self conscious about something on my body, and I was unfortunately not able to find anything that was really comfortable or that would conceal really well. And I mean, we're talking over a decade or so ago that started, and there weren't as many options then as there are now. And there's a lot
Mhm.
of things like wings and wedges that might sound a little foreign if you're new, but let's just say there's a lot of little additions to your gear that can kind of help placement on your specific body type that wasn't necessarily as commonplace back then. So I started with off body carry in a concealed carry bag, and I still sing the praises of them. If you're going to be training with one and you are making the commitment to make sure it is with you at all times and you don't like set it in your shopping cart or at the dinner table and walk away from it, there are definitely benefits to that off body carry. So that's still one of my preferred methods. But I have found over the years, and it's taken a lot of different holsters and practice and training and trial and error, but I have found that there are some really good appendix style
Mm.
or center line style. I mean, if you're left-handed, that's not really appendix carry, is it? But
Right.
anyway, there's a lot of center line or appendix type carry holster setups now that are actually really, really great. As long as it's not the hot, humid summer in the
Mm.
South, that makes it a
Yeah.
little difficult, but other than that, those are my 2 top favorites. Off body and some kind of concealed carry purse, like a crossbody that's attached to me, even better,
Mhm.
or an appendix carry that I'm able to kind of, use some different layers, even like I have now. I have a shirt, I have a little jacket. That's a perfect setup for concealment of something that would be an appendix. It just has to be accessible to you in a safe way.
Mhm.
And it has to be something you're willing to train through so that you get it. So, not that you get it right, but you can't get it wrong.
I really like that. I really like that a lot. Well, let's take a quick break. We have a lot more great things that we are gonna cover, so give us just a few minutes and we'll be right back.
Dry Pocket, gear that stands up to the wild. Experience waterproof hunting gear and Mossy Oak's signature camo designed for every hunt. Built to be waterproof, durable, and reliable, you can trust your gear when it matters most. Stay dry, stay ready. Our products float with a watertight seal, keeping your essentials airtight and scent-free. The top seals automatically, no manual closure needed. With Dry Pocket's Mossy Oak collection, you're ready for any adventure. Gear up at drypocket.com and use promo code ASCEND for a special offer. From the marsh to the mountains, trust starts from the ground up. For over 25 years, the original Muck Boot Company has built 100% waterproof boots designed to keep hunters dry, warm, and comfortable in the toughest conditions. Our boots are made to perform as hard as you do. Stay dry, stay comfortable, and stay in the hunt with Muck Boots. 100% waterproof, built for the toughest conditions. Muck, the official boot of hunters.
Welcome back. Okay, Beth, so we've touched on this. We've mentioned the USCCA a couple times, and I know that you're very involved in that organization. Just, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about what it does, why people should take a look.
Oh, yeah. The USCCA, the United States Concealed Carry Association, has been around for over 2 decades now. And honestly, my interaction or introduction or just collaboration all started because of the awesome education and training that is produced by the organization. So that's what that's what attracted me. That's what sucked me in. That's what caused me to want to work for this organization because of the resources. We produce a lot of curriculum, a lot of different presentations, a lot of different resources, PDFs, you name it, that people can utilize to just help them in their journey wherever they are. If they're wanting to get started, where do I pick a gun or how do I pick a gun? Or if they're wanting to do something a little bit more flashy and tactical, maybe they're thinking about how do I protect myself in a vehicle? There's a lot of really specific things about vehicle training, even accessing that gun with your seatbelt, things like that. So USCCA tries to kind of cover that entire gambit with the everyday protector in mind. And of course, along with that, and it's funny how I mentioned this last because I guess technically it should be at the forefront, but it shows you my mindset. But USCCA also does provide self-defense liability insurance. So you've got to think that there's more to self-defense than just am I physically ready or am I mentally ready or even am I emotionally or spiritually ready. There's this financial readiness and a legal protection and so many other kind of scary details that are really involved. And if you think about just the way the world works today, if some random person were to use any kind of implement, firearm or otherwise, to save a life or protect a life, there's somebody on the opposite end of that. There was an aggressor, there was an assailant, and they might not like what you did, or their family might not like what happened. And very easily it can turn into some kind of legal issue or lawsuit, which is unfortunate but true. So it's cool to see that USCCA is there for the before, during, and after, which is awesome. So we're there to try to present information and resources to keep people responsible, making wise decisions. But we're also there in the midst and the aftermath of what could be a very scary situation if you do have to protect yourself or protect your family. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something I didn't really think about initially. Whenever my husband and I were like, oh, we need to do concealed carry, we need to do training. Is when you go through the class, obviously they have to go through like these are the laws surrounding in your state and that sort of thing. But that there could be repercussions even if you do everything right. Then and you know how things work in any sort of lawsuit or legal thing. It could take months or years. And do you have the funds to cover that? Do you
exactly
it seems like, and there are other organizations that have them as well, but that seems like a smart thing to think about.
Yes, and it's also great that you mentioned, what's going on in your state. I mean, even from state to state, there's so many differences. As you know, if you want to have your concealed carry gun, you might not have that reciprocity in even a neighboring state, and that can make things very confusing and very scary. So USCCA also has a really great app that I use and a lot of people use to try to, make sure we keep up with that. If you have, for example, I'm in Alabama, I have even though we're now a constitutional carry state, so we were the 22nd constitutional carry state, no permit necessary, even though I do have my permit because I want to be able to carry my gun when I travel for work. And it's great to have a resource like that app on my phone to go, okay, I'm going to have to go through these states if I'm driving, what's legal, what's not, or do I have reciprocity? USCCA is headquartered in Wisconsin. And when I first started working for them I guess it's been about 12 years ago now, Alabama didn't have reciprocity with Wisconsin. And I thought, well, isn't that the darndest thing? I can protect myself at home, but I can't protect myself in the state where my company is located. And that was a little daunting. So, of course, then I got my Utah permit, which does have reciprocity Wisconsin. And then all of a sudden, Wisconsin said, oh, Alabama's okay. So if you can't keep up with it, like I can't, then use the app for sure. Yeah. Use the app. Let the app do the thinking for you.
Yeah. And if those of you are like brand new to this, so reciprocity just basically means like I live in North Carolina. So if I have a North Carolina concealed carry permit, which is still required, I forget the number, but it's several states say, okay, well, if you have that there, then you can carry in our state as well. You still have to follow that state's laws, but that permit is good there as well.
Yes.
I know that's one of those words that, if you're not familiar with the space, then
and
then maybe you don't know what that means.
It's confusing even in this space.
Yeah, especially when you have the open carry or constitutional carry states, and then open carry versus concealed carry. Anyway, it's a lot, so it's very good to have resources.
Yeah, that's another topic.
That's a different day.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. So obviously, too, I know you're very involved with USCCA, but that's not all that you do. And I think I actually met you or first introduced to you when I saw the Pacifiers and Peacemakers Instagram page. So give us that, I think would be great for this audience. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Pacifiers and Peacemakers definitely has a lot of different, I guess, interpretations, and that's intentional. And I kind of created that blog and that social media presence as just a way for me to kind of capture my own journey. I feel like, I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot of lessons, and I'm very open about those things, what I've done wrong or what I don't like or what I'm trying to accomplish. And this was a really great way for me to share those things and just allow people to kind of come on the journey with me. It's like, hey, we're going to do gun cleaning. Pop online with us and watch us do it and ask all the questions, and kind of like it's almost like you're part of the action here. And so Pacifiers and Peacemakers, the name, also wanted to make sure that there's no balance, but there is connection between life as a mom and a wife and life as a concealed carry and 2A advocate, and so Pacifiers, it could mean several things. It could kind of refer to being that mom who kind of has to, mediate sometimes. But legitimately, it was also the pacifier, like the little implement that I would carry with me at all times because I had little babies and toddlers that would pitch a fit without it. And then, of course, Peacemakers also potentially has several different thoughts and meaning as well, as far as, being a peacemaker. Biblically, we see that is mentioned, and blessed are the peacemakers. But peacemakers can also refer to the actual handgun. What's interesting about that name is it doesn't necessarily get flagged as much on social media because I don't just come right out and say like Beth Alcazar, firearms enthusiast, or 2A advocate. It kind of allows me to have that platform and maybe not get dinged as much. And it also allows me to just continue my journey parallel to USCCA, but not necessarily always related to USCCA. I still do my own training and offer classes and, do podcasts or speak to people, or, sometimes I'm a personal shopper for people. I'll go to the store with them and help them find the gear or the gun that works for them. So it's fun to be able to kind of bring all that together professionally and personally. And it just shows, though, that this is not just like a mission. This is not just a passion. This is really my life. This is something I've dedicated myself to. And it's an honor and a privilege to do it. And I'm still learning. And if you want to pop on the social media sites, you can learn right along with me.
And I think there's beauty in the understanding that we will never know it all.
Right.
We're never gonna have it all figured out. And I think if you think you do, that's where you should be scared.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm so glad you said it that way, too, because, when we think about mistakes or accidents or injuries or other things that are happening, a lot of times it's because people are too comfortable or complacent. And, if you're always thinking and always, how do I better myself? How do I improve? Then it's harder for you to get comfortable or complacent because you're constantly aware, that there's still room, there's still miles to go on the journey. And hopefully you're enjoying every step as you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. The beauty is in the journey. There's not an end zone that we're trying to get to. Thankfully. Then it would just get boring.
Yes.
Now, one thing you mentioned earlier, and this, I think we would be doing a disservice if we don't dig in a little bit to this, because I think there's significant value in something you mentioned earlier. And that is, how do we avoid even needing any of this? Like, what are the ways we can keep ourselves safe without we don't even need the gun. How do we do that?
Yes. Oh my goodness. The one of the most fascinating things about firearms training or self-defense is that we put so much time, effort, and energy into something that we hope and pray we never have to put to use. And that's unusual, because go back to the example of piano and tennis. You put time, effort, and energy into those things. You're playing, hopefully enjoying learning new music and things like that, and going out and about and sharing that talent or that skill. But when you're training for self-defense and you think, oh, I never want to be in a self-defense incident. I never want to be in a dynamic, critical encounter with somebody. I never want to use my gun. It is a last resort.
Yeah.
In fact, I tell my students, you live as if you don't have the gun. You go through everyday life as if it's not there because you want to continue to make wise decisions. You don't all of a sudden have like a superhero cape and you go off and do like unintelligent things. So I think it's really, again, that situational awareness and that conflict avoidance and the idea that you're going to be responsible and safe, those are the driving factors. Whether or not you choose that gun, too, those are the ways that I think we keep ourselves, our families, and our communities safer. If we just pay attention, put that cell phone down and look, what is happening around you. There are, unfortunately, lots of different video footage examples out there where you ache for the person. Like if they had only had eyes on that whole environment and looked around, or if they had taken off the earbuds or the headphones or whatever and just really listened to, maybe there was an argument starting or maybe there was gunfire somewhere. It's so important that beyond the gun or beyond the range, it's all about this everyday decision to open our eyes, use our senses, and move about our lives with intent and purpose so that we can, every moment of every day, deselect ourselves from the victim pool. Because, we don't want to look like we're distracted or disorganized or oblivious. We want to look like we have the confidence and the know-how and the wherewithal to move through our daily lives. And for those that do decide to carry, we have that last resort if ever necessary.
Right. I like that phrase, deselect yourself from the victim pool. I like that phrase.
Isn't that great?
I do like that very much. I'm gonna use that a lot now.
Yes.
But I think it's important, like you said, if you look like a potential victim, then you're more likely to end up a potential victim. So if you are alert, and in our society, I've been guilty of it. You leave the grocery store and you text, "Oh, I'm leaving now," looking at the phone, and so many people I see even running with headphones in or earbuds in, and if you learn how to protect yourself before it even happens,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's huge. What you mentioned, just protect yourself so you don't even have to protect yourself.
Yeah, and it's not like we're gonna live our lives just paranoid and scared and peeking around every corner and like giving people stink eye, But we're gonna think, what if, when we go to I don't know, you go to a restaurant. This is a common example. Where do you sit? Think about, is my back turned to something or someone that could potentially pose a danger? When you go to get those groceries or wherever you are shopping, are you watching what's happening around you? Because sometimes it's not just what is there, it's what's not there. It might be the absence of something that should be there that would make you uncomfortable or aware that something's wrong. And with that, ultimately, it's about listening to that voice, listening to that intuition. It is the gift of fear. That's a great book title, but it is a gift to have that uncomfortable feeling that something's not right. It means your brain, even unaware to you consciously, has noticed something or picked up on something. And we need to fine-tune that ability and pay attention to that. It would probably keep more people out of trouble. And with that, too, that mindset of avoid, escape, de-escalate, defend in that order every time. Those are really the 4 tenets that are so true for me, for USCCA training. Avoid, escape, de-escalate, defend. That's what we would and like ideally, that's what we would want everyone to do all the time. If we can avoid it,
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. You had that gut feeling. You walked away.
Right.
Or if we can escape it, you see something happening. Instead of getting the camera out and filming it, you exit or you drive off. And then, of course, de-escalation could be that using your voice or even moving or running or exiting, or could be even an OC spray or a flashlight or something else as a deterrent or a distraction to what could be an attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the defense, the mechanism that you choose to protect yourself.
That's great. I like those for the building blocks as well.
Yes.
That's good. I approve.
Adrian approved.
I approve. So it's great. So then I think the other thing, as we're talking about how to not be a victim and then even how to decide if you're going to carry, the other question I would be interested from you training so many women is, what are the most common misconceptions that women have about self-defense and or carry?
I think for a long time, the big one out there was that, women can't or shouldn't have firearms. Like it was just something that wasn't appropriate somehow, or that women weren't capable somehow of being able to use. So there was this kind of almost stereotype or idea that, oh, women don't have guns because they can't. They shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think that is a huge, not as bad nowadays, but that has been a huge misconception. And I think trickling through that has been a continued misconception that women can't use certain types of firearms. Maybe okay, I get it. We don't have as much upper body strength, hand strength, or grip strength. I'll be the first to admit that. But that doesn't mean I cannot learn how to use that semi-automatic pistol. I can. And if you have the right trainer and the right training, you can as well. You're not relegated to having a revolver or stuck with something because it's not as complicated for the little lady, that kind of stuff. So I think those were kind of really huge pieces that were out there for a long time that probably kept women out of the industry. But I also think maybe more than a misconception is just a fear of the unknown. And some of that fear might have been based in a trauma in life or a really bad experience or any number of things that individual could have experienced. But some of that fear is based on what the media or politicians might be trying to tell you. Oh, gosh, I'm such a bad mom because I have guns in my home and I have children. Like, how dare you? I'm like, do you understand that the reason I have guns is my children?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are my top 3 reasons I have firearms: my oldest, my middle, and my youngest. So there's this forced idea out there somewhere that if you're genteel, nurturing female, especially a mom, then you, God forbid, you cannot have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, excuse me, mama bears. Yes, I can. And I have the right to choose whatever works for me, my family, and my situation to protect myself. So, just continue to bust down those terrible myths and misnomers and misinformation. You can, females, choose a firearm and train with it and work with it safely, confidently. And, there's nothing to be scared of. Once you have the knowledge and the know-how, I think I have more fear of the blender in my kitchen because I have not read the manual. I don't understand the difference between slicing, dicing, and whatever else it does. So
that's it. That's awesome. I think that's big too, is, anytime you should have a healthy fear.
Yes.
Of handguns or any firearm, so that you do learn how to safely handle it. You follow all the, every class you take will have, always point your gun in a safe direction.
Yes.
Treat it as if it's always loaded.
Mhm.
Don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Don't point it at something you don't want to kill. Like, once you learn all of those things and you've handled the gun and you've worked the slide and you've loaded it and unloaded it, and once you've done those things, then you have the confidence that, okay, I can handle this safely, and in my hands, it's safe.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
Like, you're talking about your kids, obviously. Either depending on age-wise, either there is training for them and or There's methods to, handprint safes,
Mm-hmm.
lock boxes by your bed. There's ways to keep it away from the hands that you don't want to have it.
Yes.
And so I think that's big what you're talking about is learn enough to not be afraid
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
you
And, that to that point, Adrian, I encourage that to everybody across the board. Again, whether or not you choose firearms, learn
Mhm,
enough so that you're not afraid. Learn enough so that you recognize, what a loaded or unloaded firearm looks like, sounds like, what a malfunction might sound like. I
mhm,
mean, and this is a very poignant and powerful, but also very sad example. But if we look back at one of the worst tragedies in our nation, where we had the Newtown shooting
mm,
that occurred with those young children that were targeted by a madman.
mhm,
There's a story of a young boy from that school. His name is Jesse. You can look it up. And this young boy was able, I think he was like in kindergarten, but when the gunman that entered his classroom had, I think it was either a malfunction or the gun stopped and he was stopping to reload. This young boy had the understanding that, okay, the situation has changed. He was observant enough to realize that shooting had stopped. And he said one simple word. He said, run.
Oh, wow.
And several of his little classmates were able to exit that room and flee to safety. And he didn't make it. And I mean, that's just like unbelievably traumatic and horrendous. But on the other hand, what a hero.
Mm,
What a hero that he knew enough and was observant enough to be able to say run and save lives. And so whether or not people want to have guns in their home, if you have enough knowledge that you could also say run when, that firearm has stopped working or the person has stopped shooting or the situation has changed. I mean, it's just amazing what can occur and what amazing things can come out of it with just some knowledge,
yeah.
just some basic knowledge.
And I think one thing I wanna make sure that and we've both said it, but I wanna just make sure, like, even if you go to the classes and you do the training and you still don't feel like it's right for you,
Mhm.
then by all means, do not do it.
Right.
If you're not comfortable and obviously I would hope that we would figure a different method of protection, whether it
Yes.
be some kind of self-defense class or
Mhm.
hands-on something, but, don't never feel like, "Well, this is the only answer. This is the option that
Right.
I have."
No, I love when women, men, anybody, young, old, come to my class, and maybe it's the concealed carry and home defense class, and we go through a lot of the legal aspects. We go through a lot of what happens to you, physically and mentally in the aftermath or even
Mhm,
during an attack. The body has all these survival positives like the tunnel vision or, maybe shaking hands or maybe diminished hearing. There's so many things that occur and, being able to share that with people, some of them will come up after class after knowing what could happen and how serious this is and all the legal ramifications and possibilities. They'll say, Beth, I just don't know if I can do this. I don't know if it's right for me at this point to carry. And I'll just clap, I'll applaud, I'll say, good for you. You're thinking, you've made a decision and you've based it on fact or you've based it on information. But then I'll say, what can we do to go to those next steps to help you? What is your goal? Do you want to be able to get to a point where you do feel confident? Or would you like to look at alternatives for maybe less lethal or non lethal defensive measures? So, to each his own, to each her own.
mhm,
It's A-okay. I applaud a decision that is made with intelligence and resources and references and thought.
mhm.
Critical thinking is an amazing skill. So,
Yes, it's great to hone that one, isn't it?
yeah.
Well, that's great. Unfortunately, I think we have run out of our time for today. I think we talked about this before we started. I feel like this is a 3, 5, 8-part series. There's so much to talk about and so many questions that you can dig into. But
Mm.
thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I know we covered how to choose a gun, how to find a trainer, how you know you've practiced enough. So we covered a lot of topics. Beth, thank you. I'm so grateful that you agreed to be on here with me today. If you don't mind, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can follow you.
Of course, they can go to the USCCA's website, usconcealcarry.com. They'll find different blog posts or other training opportunities or other information. But if you're just interested in that social media side of things, you can find me at Pacifiers and Peacemakers with Beth Alcazar on Facebook. I try to post, just different details or whatever's going on in life or encouragement or classes or events that are coming up. And I'm also on Instagram. I'll pop on there once in a while. It's Beth619. That's my birthday, so I'm sticking with it.
Hey, that works. That works. If you would like more information about anything that we've talked about today, we will have some links in the description, especially if you head over to the YouTube channel and watch this podcast. You can comment in the section below, and we'll answer the question as best we can. I can always reach back out to Beth and get the right answer if I don't know it. But make sure, we really appreciate you guys tuning in to the Ascend podcast by Ducks Unlimited today. These are just going to keep getting better, so you definitely want to subscribe. Make sure you comment. Make sure you like. Head over to Instagram, Facebook, follow us there. It's going to be great. Hopefully, we may have Beth back on in a little while when I figure out more questions that I have. She's just been a fantastic resource for me, not just with this particular episode, but in the past. So if you have any questions, especially through the Instagram and such, please, I assume it's okay, but reach out. She'll get to you when she can in this busyness of becoming a doctor.
Thanks so much, Adrian. It's always a delight talking with you, and I welcome all opportunities to learn and grow.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for your time. This is Adrian, and I encourage you to follow your story wherever it takes you.
Thank you for listening to the Ascend podcast. New every week, the conservation-driven podcast 1 week and our adventure video series the next. Watch the Ascend Adventure episodes on the Ducks Unlimited YouTube channel, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of Ducks Unlimited. Until next time, follow your outdoor story wherever it leads you. Ascend.